Hey, what's up guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game Heroes. So in today's episode, I wanted to go over the full event deck for Ember Jungle, this Fire Commander event, and I wanted to do a full review on what I think about this deck after I've had a chance to preview it. Now that I can use it in the event, I wanted to share my thoughts and also how you can use the deck and what I think is a good combination of cards that you can use. So what we'll do is we will be using the Corellian guild boss as a way to test our deck out. And I just want to be clear here, this deck on its own will not be able to get any 500% or even more than 100% overkill based on my personal experience if you're using just the vanilla deck. And that was something that was what I thought was the case during the preview, and it's still the case. But it's a deck that can still take down Corellian guild bosses, and I wanted to go over that with you. And so I'm going to be using two different variations to show you how it works and also how it works. So the first one is the full event deck I have with the ultimate form and then two Master Collection cards because I was able to get a shiny. So the King of Cinders, and then the ultra rare card, which is Volcanic Naga, and then a support card, Molten Serpica. So the support card turned out to be pretty useful in this event because it gives you a heal every single time you attack, and also it's the only card in this deck that will counter weaken, which is not going to block any of the skills, but it does reduce the amount of damage. Then the second variation is one that uses the Ring Royalty instead of the ultra rare card. And the reason that this card is here is because it allows me to use the Fire Slayer relic so that I can use the relics to create more power gems. So I'm going to use this first because I'm able to actually use this deck to take down the boss, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It's really easy. The deck as it, on its own is really easy to use because it has a 3-turn cooldown. But what's nice is the deck, the Master Collection cards in the ultimate forms, they will create power gems for 4 turns. And so every 3 turns, you're going to get double the number of power gems, which is really nice. And what I want to focus on here is this deck requires you to play really fast because it's very intensity focused. Because this deck, once you have high enough intensity, you're going to generate enough power gems on the board to basically fill up the board with gems every single turn. And so that is what you need to do in order to do well. So basically, you'll get to a point where every single turn you'll be dealing a certain amount of damage, and that's how you can chip down the health of the boss. And you notice here, I'm also healing a little bit every single turn, and so that's the nice thing about the support card. I'm getting a little bit of heal, although I'm not getting the full amount right now because my card is not fully leveled up yet. But what happens here is that I also have the passive delays from the Master Collection card. So you can see the boss right now isn't attacking. And so during this time, while the boss isn't attacking, I'm continuing to deal damage and I'm continuing to heal up a little bit so that I could survive more hits. Now, the way that you want to play this deck is you want to get over, I would say you want to get about at least 700 intensity. Around the 700 intensity mark is when your passive abilities is going to basically fill up the board every single turn. At 400, you're still going to have some spaces remaining, and so what you need to do is you need to do the quick activation, and then you need to make sure to stop the clock. I'm actually not playing it very well right now, so I'm not showing you the full effect here, but basically when I get it going, when you get the train going, what you can do is you could really fill up the board and then quick match every single turn, and because they've stopped the clock automatically now, it actually can make this go really quick. So you can manage to get a lot of hits in, every single turn here. And so we're approaching the 600 intensity mark. So you'll see that starting at 600, I think there will still be one more gem remaining after I activate everything. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Every single, whenever the battle skills are available, though, you're guaranteed to fill up everything because you're doubling up the number of passive power gems here. And so let's see. So yeah, so we do have one more gem that's left over. So after this, we will be good to go. So after one more passive spawn, we're going to activate all of our battle skills. And then you'll see every single turn from here on, I'm going to be dealing close to 10 trillion damage with this setup. Now, the other nice thing about having the Ring Royalty in here is that every time I attack, I'm also dealing a little bit more damage. Not a whole lot because I'm adding basically, the same amount of attack boost as I have health. So the higher health I have, the more damage I deal. But because I'm not full health, I'm not getting the full 100% attack boost. All right, so I lost a little bit of time here, but I think I can get a few more attacks in here. So like as long as I can do some really quick matches, you can see I'm dealing close to 10 trillion damage each time. And also, when I'm doing recordings here, I'm not playing with the phone in my hand, and so I'm inherently a little bit slower. But you can see here, I can still get quite a few attacks in, even though I'm already within a second of the time clock, the game clock here. Unfortunately, sometimes you do get hit by weaken, but the thing is, it doesn't stop you from being able to use your skills. It just means that the amount of damage you deal is halved. And so in that situation, it just means that you're gonna have to take a little bit longer to you're just going to end up doing, you're going to have to do more turns. And so I wasn't able to take out the boss this time. However, usually when I'm playing on my own, I can deal enough damage to take out the entire guild boss on my own. So you can see here with me not playing as quickly as I could, that was still over 150 trillion. So that is that is using the ring royalty in here. So the ring royalty has a couple of benefits. The first one is it gives you a revive, and then it also gives you additional power gems, because this card also depends on intensity. So for every 200 beast kill intensity, you get an additional power gem. And so these two cards really do play well together. They're all beast killer, they're all fire, and because I don't have the full relic set, I can use them together. So now let's talk about how it would work if we didn't have that, right? Now, I would say that if you didn't have it, I would still probably say put in potentially a Master Collection card from that event. So that would be, if we change this to Fire Slayer Beast Killer, I would say that if you have El Toro is still a good card to use because it's still a card that gives you power gems. And so this is a card that's going to give you, four power gem 4s, and then 1 for every 200 beast kill intensity. So you're getting the same thing. You're getting the same thing from having the Master Collection card here, and also you do get also the beast killer boost. So you get an attack boost from the Master Collection card. So this is the card. You don't have to have the ultimate form, but if you have the Master Collection card, I would highly recommend you using it, because you can then also pair up your relics. And so in this particular situation, I'm just going to show you the full team on its own. In terms of relics, I still decided to put in my Slayer relics in, because it still helps me remove the shield. And the shields are kind of a it used to be a benefit in the past when the clock would just run out when the full board is full. But now that they've added that ability, they've added the feature to automatically stop the clock. Having the shield on there is actually more of a liability. So the more you can remove the shield, the better. And so let's take a look now and see, let's compare this now, the full vanilla deck with the ultra rare card. So the ultra rare card doesn't really do anything except for unleashing the nuke. So there are a couple things that I'm missing out here. So one of the things I'm missing out on is, sort of the total number of power gems I can gain from when I activate. And so that's the first thing. So it's going to take me a little bit longer in order to really benefit from the full board of power gems. And the second thing is I won't have revive, right? And also I'm not getting the extra boost in attacks. So this is a situation where this full deck here is going to act slightly weaker, at least in the beginning. And the reason I say that is because over time, because you're getting the 13 commander bonus, you're still getting a little bit of that offset. So you're getting a little bit of damage, but you're lacking a little bit, but you're missing that from the additional boost from El Toro. Okay, and so we'll see how much damage you can do here, but basically it's exactly the same way that you play. Every 3 turns, you just activate everything, and then you're still going to have the turn delay, and so you're going to you're not going to be taking as much damage over time. And so let's go ahead and do this now. So the nuke on its own. So the thing about the nuke is, over time, what happens is you're going to store up about 5 to 6 trillion over the course of 3 hits. And so during that time, what you'll do is you'll eventually be saving up those hits, and then you're going to be nuking for about 5 or 6. So it does add a little bit, but it's not a nuke that is devastating. So like it doesn't store the damage and then deal more damage on top of that. So it isn't that is not what it does. But instead, what it will give you is a little bit of extra damage to take down the health of the boss, which can help, especially when it comes down to the wire, right? So if there's only a little bit of damage remaining, and you're able to basically hit that boss for the last bit that's needed. And so in terms of, I think, power output, I believe, I haven't tried this with this team yet, but I believe that if I were to do the same thing, if I were to play this, I could probably achieve similar results. It's just that the problem I have is my intensity is going much slower. So my intensity amount is growing a lot slower because I don't have the Slayer card to help me get additional 15 intensity every single turn. And so I'm growing, my intensity grows at less than half of the amount that I do when I have the mixed team. And so it's more beneficial for me to use the mixed team here, but this is still going to be okay. Like I can easily take out the boss in the time remaining. So it still does good damage, but I just think that it's going to be a little bit slower. And as you can see here, all I'm doing is I'm just activating everything from right to left. I'm just activating my support card last. That's all I'm doing because I just want to make sure that if I don't fill it more with power gems, I can fill it up with the regular fire gems. And so you can see here, I'm dealing similar amount of damage here, okay? And so it's just that it's going to take a little bit longer to get to that 600, 650 intensity amount for you to deal the same amount of damage. But here, within 2 attacks, not playing as fast, I was able to take down the guild boss at about level 231, right? So level 231 took me 2 attacks, but I could have probably done it in 1 with a single star ultimate form. And so what is, like now that I've sort of shown you how the deck works, the way I think about it is when I first reviewed the deck, I thought that because it didn't have the attack boost or the damage boost, that it felt like it was going to be a bit of a flop. And I think in the context of being able to take out solo bosses, that is the case. This deck is not a deck that can help you take down the solo boss because of the big single hit. But what this does offer you, though, is it gives you a sustained amount of damage over time. And so against guild bosses, this works really well because once you get to a certain point, you're going to have full board power gems every single turn. And you're going to be able to deal the same amount of damage every single time, and it's sustained. So you don't have to wait 3 turns. You don't have to wait whatever the cooldown is. You're going to be able to do this. And in some cases, that actually means you deal more damage on average. It's just that this deck lacks that big single strike, whereas the damage that you can deal is spread out over every single turn. And so for me, I think that it's not a bad mechanic per se, and I don't think that this is a bad team to use. It's not ideal if your goal is to focus on solo bosses, but to me, I think being able to focus on the guild bosses is just as well for you to be able to do decently in these events. And so hopefully this is helpful for you to understand the mechanics and also how to use it and sort of the combinations that you can use to get the most of it. Just remember, the most important thing about taking out the guild boss is to have Molten Serpica, the support card, in here because you want to combat weaken. Even though you don't need to, I think having it in there will guarantee you to at least double the amount of damage that you're able to deal. So whatever you're able to do without putting the support card in when you're dealing with weaken, by putting her in there, you'll be able to deal about double the amount of damage there. And the ultra rare card is not quite as needed here. I personally believe that having more Master Collection cards in here would be ideal. So my personal, I think, ideal setup here would be 3 Master Collection cards plus the Ultimate Form plus the support card if you're going up against a Corellium guild boss. Or if you have the Ring Royalty, that works really well as also. So there's no need for you to get additional ones. And so this is my review of the deck. I think that if you have the full deck, you should have no problem getting lots of damage. It just requires you to play it fast. So it's good opportunity to get some practice in. Hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are about the deck, and let me know what you're playing, what combinations of cards you're using, and hopefully other people can gain some ideas as well. So that's going to be all for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.